Good afternoon, Rotarians. Thank you for standing. Welcome to the final Rotary meeting for Bloomington Rotary of the year. That means it's halfway through my presidency, and I just wanted to reiterate some of the goals that I had at the start of the year. None of them have been met, needless to say. They're all a work in progress. I just wanted to share with them what they are. First, grow and diversify the membership. Remember, President Shankar Mehta has the each one bring one goal. Second, embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion in all the work and fellowship of our club. And third, with the return of in-person meetings and the partial lifting of the COVID blanket that we've lived under for so long, re-engage with Rotary, join a committee, and do good work. And with that, Michael, let's have a moment of silent reflection. You may be seated. Glenda Marie will give our reflection.
Thank you, and it's good to see everyone today. I decided on a personal Paul Harris Fellow reflection today. So this is my view of the Paul Harris Fellow program since it was created in 1957, before I was a Rotarian. And it may or may not match what is online for the Paul Harris Fellow program. Many of you have heard me talk about my father, Glenn Coffey, who was a Rotarian for 50 years in his club in a small town in Sparta, Illinois. In my memory, there were very few Paul Harris Fellows awards at that time, and they were usually given by the club or to a member or a community leader for years of service. For example, after my father had been a Rotarian for 50 years and nearly had reached the point where he could no longer attend the meetings, they gave him a Paul Harris Fellow. In recent years, Rotary International has promoted the Harris Award much, much more. Yes, clubs still give Paul Harris Fellows for special recognition. Our Toast recipients each receive one. Charlotte just got her next one a few weeks ago at the Toast. But Rotary International has also encouraged people to give annually to receive the award, the Every Year, Every Rotarian program, which many of us use to contribute our $100 or so a year, so that it takes 10 years or less, especially if you use the points, to become a Paul Harris Fellow. Now, Rotary International or the foundation has these points, which I admit I don't understand, but there are people in the club who do, and they'll help you. And it works. So the point of all this, of course, is not to get a new pin today, although I'll enjoy it, but it's to share what we can with the foundation to do the good works that Rotary does in the world, fighting polio, helping communities with water projects, sanitation, and hygiene projects. You could probably recite the list with me. Helping communities provide basic education and literacy programs in schools. Helping communities with maternal and child health programs. Responding to disasters. Offering education and training in peace building and conflict prevention, and so many more. I'm pleased to give regularly to the Paul Harris Fellow program because I know my gift is combined with yours and others throughout the world to help create good change in the world. And so I celebrate the Paul Harris program today.
Thanks, Glenda. Introduction of guests and visiting Rotarians. I know we have one visiting Rotarian in the Frangipani today, my pal Gabe Coleman from Bloomington North. And Joy, do we have any guests on Zoom? It's not usual that we have guests for club assemblies, but it does happen,
It does happen, but it hasn't happened today.
but not on Zoom.
But
And
not on Zoom.
Natalie is approaching me with the actual other list. Thank you. Oh, okay. We also have Doris Sims, guest of the club. Yay. Not yet a visiting Rotarian or a Rotarian, but we're working on it. Of course, it takes a village to produce our meetings every week. Thank you, Michael, for continuing to be here. Thank you, Joy, for being our host on Zoom. Thanks, Winston Schindel, for being our greeter today. It's great to see you at the door, Winston. Glenda for our reflection. Our roundabout reporter for 2 weeks this month is Owen Johnson. Thank you, Owen. And our roundabout editor, as always, is Judy Schroeder. We have some birthdays to celebrate. I'm going to start with one from last week. Well, just from a couple days ago. Our very own Natalie Blaze turned the big 5-0. Yay, Natalie. The rest of our birthdays are towards the end of the month, so these will be our Capricorns. Amy Osajima, December 25th. Katie Beck and Ann Wren on December 27th, and Lee Witt on December 29th. Congrats to all. We have member anniversaries. Wendell St. John has been a member of our club for 2 years. Now, Trent Deckard, I announced you last week as 3 years, but in fact, you were in our club for at least 4 years before that, before you took a job in Indianapolis and had to drop out, but then you came back to Bloomington. And so it's been more like 7 years. Congratulations, Trent. Peggy Frisbee, 24 years. Wow, I know, time flies. And Paul Hazel, 35 years. Congrats to all of them. I have a couple of quick announcements. One is we had a fabulous holiday party. I want to thank everybody who was on the party planning team. Natalie Blaze, Ashley Wesley, Joy Harder, Alam Barker, and Lynn Schwartzberg. I hope I didn't forget anyone. And if you have thoughts about next year's holiday party, I'm sure Alan would be thrilled to hear them. The Rotary Book Club is meeting in mid-January, Wednesday, January 12th. We're reading Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. Anyone is welcome to join. And now, as Glenda intimated in her reflection, we have a special presentation, and I'd like to invite Peggy Frisbee to the podium.
I have a feeling you're not going to be surprised what this is about. Sort of a regular event these days, which is we're going to present some Paul Harris Fellow recognitions, okay? I'm going to thank you again a little bit later, Glenda, but thank you very much for a wonderful, reflection regarding Paul Harris. We have 4 Paul Harris Fellows to present today. 2 are first timers, and if you give me a minute, just a second, so I can get my stuff back in front of me. It was there a minute ago. Here we go. Okay. So I'm really pleased to present Paul Harris Fellow recognition to 4 wonderful people whom I think you all agree exemplify the Rotary motto of service above self. Okay. Each of our recipients has served our community in My iPad is going crazy. In our town, our community, and our region, on campus, and more broadly. So first up, I'd like to present two brand new Paul Harris Fellows, Doris Sims and Megan Neese. And Doris, you can come on up. And while you're coming on up, we'll also mention two others to come up, which is Judy Shorter and Glenda Murray. I'm going to start off with Megan. Hey, Megan. So Megan is joining us on Zoom. Megan is the very familiar representative of our organizational member, the Community Foundation of Bloomington and Monroe County. Megan is Development Director for the foundation and previously did that work for our Monroe County Habitat for Humanities. Megan has played a significant role in the growth of support for and the activities of both organizations. Megan did ask me to actually also acknowledge the fact that she is an organizational member. So the Community Foundation, our Rotary organizational member, which was started in 1990 by a group of key community leaders, including somebody right here in our room, the illustrious Charlotte Zidlow, along with Herman B. Wells and then Mayor Tommy Allison. And over the years has supported 400 different nonprofits and has grown an endowment of 43 million. And recently, it's been incubating Regional Opportunities Initiative, which is helping in our region for workforce education and other things, as well as CDFI Friendly Bloomington, both of which are really pretty incredible new initiatives. So Megan, congratulations. And do you have your pin? I see it right there. Thank you, Megan. Okay, and now if our other in-person people would come up. So first of all, we got Doris. Doris, we're so pleased to recognize you as a Paul Harris Fellow. So many of us know your good work for many years for those in need in Bloomington. Doris is a graduate of IU with both a bachelor's and master's from the O'Neill School, formerly SPIA, in public administration. She, I think you know, has worked in government and academics her whole career, working at the city of Bloomington, the state of Indiana, and Ivy Tech. And for 38 years, a long time, she was director of the Housing and Neighborhood Development Department for the city and retired in January. Congratulations. And not one to quit there. She serves on the IU Credit Union and Habitat for Humanity boards right now. And of course, I think we know she's connected to that guy over there. And they have 2 children. And do you want me to share your interesting fact? She loves shoes and likes to scrapbook, which she plans to do more of in her retirement. There you go. Okay. Congratulations. And then we have several repeats, which is, which in the Paul Harris Fellow Paul Harris Fellow world is something to be really, really applauded. Okay. So we have Glenda and Judy, whom I think everyone is very familiar with. So Judy, Judy, I'm a little bit, she's followed the career I almost did. I don't, Judy, no, Judy, if you know this, I was the alumni magazine editor for a college I worked for 6 years. But how many years did you do it for IU alumni? 20. Okay. And also has continued, of course, to be our roundabout editor. And you're doing it for the IU retirees. You just can't keep your fingers out of that, can you? So, and that's so incredibly important to everyone to provide our information, our support. Okay, thank you, Judy, who is getting Paul Harris Fellow number 3. And then Glenda, who's a very familiar face also. And Glenda, thank you for the reflection very much. You sort of really made it very easy for me. and Glenda, who has worked with the Pointer Center over at IU, retired, and even longer with the History Center, right? Forever. And of course, been an incredible supporter of Rotary in our club. And you are getting, you got so many pins there, you're running out of space, the little things. Yes, so a Paul Harris Fellow +5, okay? Thank you. And a quick reminder, there's still time to contribute to the Rotary Foundation and get 2 points towards your Paul Harris Fellow for every dollar you give. All right.
Peggy and our new Paul Harris Fellows, thank you all so much. I can't think of a better segue into doing year-end happy dollars to benefit Teachers Warehouse. Is anyone happy? Gabe.
Ron Barnes, and if I'm forgetting anybody else's name, thank you for this projection here. But yeah, I'm a past president of Teachers Warehouse. It was by far the most fun and the easiest leadership role I took with any organization. And I thank this club from the bottom of my heart. So I do have happy dollars to give.
Thank you, Gabe, for your service. Any other happy people? Judy.
I'm really happy that I had a lovely lunch with my lunchtime buddy, John Diltz. And if you haven't had lunch with your lunchtime buddy, I bet nobody will mind if you do it in January.
Absolutely. There's no expiration date. Natalie knows where to find you. And Jim Sims. Thank you, Art.
I've got 10 happy dollars. And need I say more?
Aw,
Thank you.
I did not realize that Doris's Paul Harris Fellowship was a surprise to Doris. So, wow. Any happy dollars on Zoom today? We may or may not be having a little bit of a technical problem. You can speak if you're happy. Is that Lance?
Yeah, but I'm in person.
I
I'm
saw
not
you on
here.
my screen and not in person. Lance.
Well, I just would like to give 20 happy dollars to Sally for a great
Oh.
first 6 months of leadership of our club, and you can start the countdown now.
Thank you, Lance.
I'll give
Glenda.
Just a few happy dollars and say thank you to all who planned the party. It is wonderful to be able to see people in person and even to celebrate together like we did last week. So thanks to the committee.
Thank you, Glenda. It was fun, wasn't it? So I'm happy. I'm happy for several reasons. One is I have a wonderful aunt who passed away a couple of years ago. Her name is Goody Gaskell. She was a mountaineer in Colorado. And an elementary school has just been named for her in suburban Denver, Goody Gaskell Elementary. And Goody's granddaughter is my first cousin once removed. I like to call her my niece. Her name is Stacy Gaskell, S. Gaskell, just like me. She is going to be an Olympian on the snowboard cross team. I'll be sure to keep everyone updated every week. She's really spectacular, 21 years old, real athlete. Okay. Charlotte.
I, excuse me, I'm happy to be here. I hope you can hear me. And this is my first chance. I did send a note to Sally and to the club, but I want to thank you because you've made me very happy with the toast. And my children came down and they're coming down again. And so I'm happy. This is a nice way to end the year.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Hi, I'm
Anyone
Ron.
else? Ron Barnes, that's our final happiness of the day.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy for all of the volunteers, and many of you volunteer at the Teachers Warehouse, and thank you very much.
It's true. Sarah Laughlin couldn't be here today because she is doing a consulting job in Auburn, Indiana, which apparently is north of Fort Wayne. But she said to me, oh, I think I'm going to try to make it back in time for my 3:30 slot at Teachers Warehouse. Wow. Okay, with that, thank you so much, Martha and Aaron. Ron Barnes, will you please come toward the podium? We're now going to begin our club assembly, my first. Very exciting. So this assembly will be in two parts. First, we're going to talk about, reflect on our years of community service and leadership with Teachers Warehouse. And then we're going to talk about the work of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So Ron Barnes is the current board president of Teachers Warehouse.
Thank you, President Sally. Before we start this 9-minute video, I'd like to reintroduce Judy Witt. Without Judy, Teachers Warehouse would not exist. So please stand. About 17 years ago, this was a dream that she had, and we've turned into a major operation now, serving 5 counties in the area. I would also like to reintroduce Gabe Coleman, who produced this video, and the Sunrise Rotary Club helped through a donation pay for this. But thank you, Gabe, and I think you will enjoy this video. Also, again, as I said in my Happy Dollars, Teachers Warehouse wouldn't exist without you, without Rotary, without the volunteers. And we have volunteers that work 30, 40 hours a week, each week. It's just unbelievable, the dedication they have for the teachers in our communities and for the students in our communities. So with that, I'll turn it over to our technical associate here to help get the video going. And if there are questions at the end, I'll be glad to answer them.
Teachers Warehouse facilitates material donations of school supplies for teachers and students in the public school systems here in Monroe County. And we've now expanded to Brown County, Lawrence County, Greene County, and Owen County. The goal, again, is to meet that moment of relief for teachers who don't have the wherewithal to supply students who don't have the supplies they need.
I first learned about the Teachers Warehouse when I was a student teacher. It's great because teachers are always needing to supplement what they have. This is a supportive tool for education, for families. So it's very easy to know that anything you give to the Teachers Warehouse is going to be really helpful in your community.
Located at 524 North Fairview Street in Bloomington, Indiana, near Butler Park, we are a 100% volunteer-powered, not-for-profit that has grown to serve teachers in the public schools.
Teachers Warehouse was started by a Rotarian in town by the name of Judy Witt, and it began in her garage. And the motto of Rotary is service above self. And she saw that teachers were having a very difficult time keeping up with the material demands that students in need had. From that, through the support of Rotary in town, they began to expand their space until ultimately they landed in the Aurora Alternative School, which was repurposed by MCCSC to fit our need.
Our goal is to help teachers maintain ideal environments for learning in their classrooms, while meeting the needs of the many students who are lacking access to even the most basic school supplies.
Emotionally, thinking about it, it just makes me want, to tear up because a lot of kids don't have. And there's some things that, I can't provide, but Teachers Warehouse has, or I would be spending half my paycheck.
there's so much pressure for driving the classroom to results that sometimes the creativity and the relationships that teachers can have with their students is just squeezed out of an equation like that. And Teachers Warehouse provides resources so teachers can find those connections again.
We have low-income families that don't have backpacks, and so I could go and get a backpack, and I could go and get supplies for projects, theme projects that, you know, if we wanted to build something, instead of, you know, asking families if the Teachers Warehouse has it, I'd go get all kinds of supplies.
We quantify our impact on the community using very specific metrics. And what we know is that in the year of 2019-2020, we had visits from 1,500 teachers spread out over 2,200 visits, and we handed out $160,000 worth of school supplies. My favorite statistic for Teachers Warehouse is this. Based on our 2018-2019 year numbers, what we discovered was if you give us $1, we can turn that into $10. It's very validating for our donors to hear that their impact is 10 times what they think it is.
We build relationships, generate project inspiration for teachers, and create an ongoing supply stream of donated items to support those projects.
The different areas in Teachers Warehouse, how we distribute items, fall into categories and go into specific rooms that relate to paper, our project room, our classroom, our furniture room, our book room, and our STEAM room.
Donations come in every shape and form. I don't have to worry about protecting my pencils against students who might take advantage of them. No, I have the Teachers Warehouse who's going to give me extra pencils just in case I run out. I think people just think it's basics. I don't think that they understand everything that Teachers Warehouse has.
There's a way for you to bring things to us that frees up your space and then turns around that we can give to teachers, and the sheer joy that comes from these teachers, the relief that they experience is infectious. You know, it's amazing to see how it changes the station and position of these teachers to come in and have access to these materials that, you know, we're just out of their reach.
The volunteer leadership and the board are really visionary. They really are strategic, and they really think about not just what teachers need, but where education is going.
When teachers come to us, they not only get access to new and gently used supplies and furniture, they get access to project inspiration. That is why we are launching our STEAM initiative.
We're most familiar with science, technology, engineering, and math. STEAM integrates art into that. So the A is for art.
Our initiative is geared towards inspiring teachers to take on new and engaging STEAM projects in the classroom, and to make sure we have the supplies to help them do it. We are reaching out to our community leaders and educators in STEAM fields in order to better understand impactful and engaging experiments and demonstrations and the materials that go along with them.
The history of human society is really written in the last several thousand years on a foundation of STEAM, of science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. All of that together is what really has made the world around us. And if we want to continue thriving and have a robust society and a robust engagement with the world around us, STEAM is totally critical.
I think supporting the Teachers Warehouse is important because they are supporting STEM and STEAM initiatives. And to be competitive in the world, we have to have a population that is familiar with the philosophy and practice of science, math, technology, engineering, art, etc.
Without Teachers Warehouse, you'd be dealing with realities of the local elementary schools, cinder block walls and, you know, fluorescent lights and chalkboards, and old desks. And, if you don't have the pencil that you need, then you might just be out of luck that day. There is so much distraction, and so much that can get in the way of accomplishing a learning task, that not having the supply in that moment, not having the pencil could be the difference between engaging with what's in front of them in that moment. And what's in front of them in that moment could be the piece of curriculum that inspires them to take a career path, that affects the rest of their life.
These kids are our future. And if we can lighten their load and the teacher's load, if we can ease that just a little bit, if you've got some extra boxes of paper or, you've got pens that maybe the logo was misprinted, we don't care what logo is on there. So just donate it because, we want to give the kids all the tools that they can have, that they possibly would need and make teachers' lives just a little bit easier.
For more information about how you can play a part in all of this, please visit our website at teacherswarehouse.org.
Do you have any questions? Both Gabe and I are here and we're glad to answer them. And Gabe is a real star in that movie, isn't he?
I was just saying I'll be available for
Thank you both so much. I want to, well, if there are any questions, please come forth, but I want to also acknowledge the people who are members of our club who, in addition to Ron, are on the board. We have Vice President Marcus Debro, Sarah Laughlin is the recording secretary, and Kate Cruikshank and Marilyn Wood are board members of the 501c3 Teachers Warehouse. Judy.
Well, I just want to thank everyone in this room for making this possible. Oh my goodness. Without your help, and particularly Peggy Frisbee, who held my hand legally all the way through that process and warned me that she had a drawer full of applications that were never completed for a not-for-profit. And I said, that's not going to happen to us. We are going to make it happen. So thank you, Peggy. And Marty Donnelly was one of the early board members. And I was looking around the room. I don't see anyone else here. I hope I haven't missed anyone, but there was that first board. I mean, it was a board that met almost weekly to get it all put together and to do the bylaws and decide all the process and the principles and details of going into it. And we all started out, there wasn't a single teacher on that first board, which was really a huge mistake, but we got through it. And it was just one of those things that 17 years later, I'm just so proud of this club and the Sunrise Club and the North Club for making it happen. Because as I told the superintendent at the time, I said, don't name another school with a view at the end, because every one of the elementary schools with a view was a Title I school. And I didn't think Bloomington had that much low income in this community. It's really been hidden, and it's just absolutely everywhere. And so that was the motivation for doing it, was to help these children and to help the teachers who dig deep into their pockets every single year. So thank you again.
And the rest is history. Thank you again for everyone for supporting Teachers Warehouse. And now we're going to move to the second portion of our club assembly, which is all about our DEI work. And I want to start by acknowledging Raj Hadawi, who on Zoom created our DEI fund And as a result of that, we now have a standing committee of our board. And I definitely want to acknowledge all of you who have been a part of this important work. There's a handout on your table, and that has all of the information that is part of the governing document of the committee. And right on the top, committee members, Jeff Baldwin, Jim Bright, Jim Capshew, Aaron Davis, Marcus Debro, John Diltz, myself, Raj Hadawi, Isidore James Torrey, Jim Sims, and Yolanda Trevino. Huge work from the last 6 months. Thank you all so much. I want to note that RI, Rotary International, has placed a lot of importance on its DEI work in the last couple of years. And I want to provide some sort of interpretations of what those 3 words mean, definitions, if you will, that come straight from Rotary International. So first, what is diversity? Well, I think we all have slightly different interpretations of the word. Rotary says that we welcome people of all backgrounds, experiences, and identities, regardless of age, ethnicity, race, color, abilities, religion, socioeconomic status, culture, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity. All of those things. Equity, what does that mean? Well, Rotary strives for the fair treatment and advancement of all Rotary participants. Recognizing that individuals from certain groups have historically experienced barriers to membership, participation, and leadership, we commit to advancing equity in all aspects of Rotary, including in our community partnerships like Teachers Warehouse, so that each person has the necessary access to resources, opportunities, networks, and support to thrive. And finally, inclusion and belonging. Rotary is committed to creating experiences in which all people feel welcomed, respected, and valued. I think of open arms when I think about inclusion. So I'm going to ask John Diltz, who's an important member of the committee, to come forward and help me share the work of the committee from the first 6 months. So I understand that Raj and John are the primary authors of the document. So the document is about to be presented to all Rotarians.
Well, thank you very much. I'm John Diltz, as you know. We're speaking of diversity. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but I grew up in a small town in northern Indiana. By small town, I mean about 200 people, really small rural community. And in this town, diversity meant either you were Catholic or you were Methodist. Those were the divisions, and that's how we separated our tribes in that town. I should have. Okay. I'm going to read this from the screen. I should have brought up a piece of paper. You'll have the paper in front of you, and we're going to go through this as line by line, word by word. It should take us about 45 minutes, I think. And then we'll open up for discussion for the rest of the afternoon, if that's all right with everybody. Let's see. Okay, next slide. Okay, now this statement was which was drafted by your committee. It's the committee of 11. There are 11 of us on this committee, and it reflects all of our opinions really, and in some respects it reflects what we see the club as a whole, not only the aspirationally of what the club should be, but to a certain extent what it already is. When we have a good jump on this already and have for a long time, and but in many ways it's aspirational. The first part of this, we were charged to develop a vision statement, and then to develop a mission statement, and then a statement of goals, and then some action items, and we'll go through that. I think this is maybe the first time that I've worked on a committee doing a vision statement that Michael Shermas wasn't leading us through this. So we did it on our own. And I'm going to make some comments as they occur to me as we go through this a little bit, as I read it As members of the Bloomington Rotary Club, and we're speaking for the club, not just the committee, but as members of the Bloomington Rotary Club, we strive to accept and value all human beings as they are, as they are. We take what we get, appreciating our common humanity, and we believe our differences, our strength. Empowered by our commitment to service above self, we want to build a community that champions diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Belonging is a Rotary word. I've never run into a belonging committee before. Well, when Rotary International talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, they also talk about belonging, a sense of belonging, a sense that every member of the Rotary Club should feel like it belongs to the Rotary Club. No posers out there, nobody's sort of pretending that they're Rotarians, but a feeling of community, a belonging to the community, and that's important. And so we added it, we left the word in there. Next slide. The part B of the vision is we understand this to mean, among other things, that this committee encourages and welcomes all people of goodwill into our company, all people of goodwill. So we are selective. I mean, we invite everybody, we want everybody, but not everybody is going to be part of our community. We want people of goodwill. We want people who who share our values of service above self. People of goodwill into our community, regardless of their backgrounds. That's what doesn't matter. Regardless of their backgrounds or experiences, allowing them to participate, connect, engage, and collaborate in building a just and equitable community. So we're not talking about a community that's members of a committee or members of a club, but we're aspirational in the sense that we're talking about a real community, a community of a city and a state and a country. We are committed as part of our care for others to promote fair and humane treatment of all human beings, access to educational, business, artistic, and leadership opportunities, and to a shared sense of belonging and mutual purpose. So educational, business, artistic, and leadership, and these are the parameters of what we're interested in promoting. Next slide. So that's our vision. We aspire to do those things, and we commit ourselves to doing those things. And our mission of this committee is to intentionally seek out ways to celebrate and the contributions of people of all backgrounds, regardless of their age, ethnicity, race, color, gender, religion, sexual orientation, marital status, immigration status, political ideology, or previous incarceration. How's that? That's pretty inclusive, right? That's about everybody I could think of that I would like to know somehow and know of their experiences. Intentionally seek out ways. And my father was a gardener. He was really an expert gardener. I suppose here in Bloomington, we would call him a master gardener, but he didn't think of himself that way. But he used to talk about gardens being intentional spaces. I never heard, that's kind of it's sort of a popular word now, but my father says, if you want a garden to grow, you start with the mess that you have. You start with what you got, and then you intentionally make it better. You fertilize it, you plant, you cultivate, you make it grow, and it'll be something beautiful, but you cannot just throw the seed on the ground and expect anything to happen. Everything that happens for the good happens intentionally. You have to want to do it. We recognize that individuals have historically experienced barriers to membership and participation in Rotary. We have a history, folks. And so we are committed all the more vigorously to advance diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in all aspects of Rotary. We therefore charge ourselves to oppose racism, sexism, human trafficking, and exploitation, and to promote the needed resources, opportunities, networks, and encouragement necessary to allow us and our fellow human beings to thrive together. That's our mission. Next slide. That's our vision. That's our mission. That's how we see ourselves pursuing this. Here are our goals. Now, the committee talked a lot about goals. I mean, it was easy enough to put together a vision and a mission statement, right? Because we pretty much just drew it from whatever Rotary International said in their documents and what this club has said already in its proposal to the national organization a couple of years ago when we asked them to pursue a statement of commitment for diversity. So goal number one here is to support efforts to recruit and maintain a more diverse membership, and to work with the membership committee to identify potential members whose backgrounds and experiences diverge from that of the majority members. Pretty obvious goal and not a new one. We've been doing that for a long time, and the membership committee has been committed to diversifying our membership for a long time so that not everybody in the club is over 70. We've been working on that for a while. We're going to use a portion of the club's diversity fund to provide financial assistance to offset membership costs when necessary, to encourage current members to fund the initial cost of membership for any newly recruited candidate judged to be capable of expanding the club's diversity by race, gender, or status through a contribution to the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. So, there's no point in having goals if you can't pay for them. It takes money to move forward, and we have that. We have some money, and we're going to have more money, and you're going to help us with that because you, as a matter of fact, are all part of the membership committee by default. Next one. Goal number two is collaboration. We're going to expand and encourage the club's involvement with minoritized organizations in Bloomington and Monroe County. I don't know if minoritized is that an adjective? I don't know. I've never ran across that before, but it's interesting. Anyway, these minoritized organizations, whatever that might be, we're going to be involved with them. We are already, and we will try to expand that. Be proactive in building relationships with individuals from these organizations to strengthen community ties and strategize how Rotary might be more involved in supporting their work. And we want to investigate the possibilities of semi-formal partnerships along the lines of sister city arrangements. We partner with lots of social and charitable organizations in Bloomington. We have for many years, but we would like to be a little more intentional about who those organizations are and how they might contribute to our sense of diversity and equity. Next slide. Number three, programs. We're going to work with the program committee to identify and invite speakers capable of addressing issues of diversity and inclusivity in American culture and history. A lot of times our speakers do this already. We've heard from all kinds of different people. I even remember one time we had an ex-con up here who talked about prison life and what he was doing after. I remember that. I still remember that. It was very vivid. It was very interesting. We've had other kinds of things. We've done this from time to time. What's different here is that we really would like to make sure that more of that does happen, that we can hear from people who are not like us and people who have something to share and from whom we can learn. Okay, next slide. Goal number 4 is assessment. We talked a lot about assessment. We thought that having aspirations and having visions, and it was all very nice. And we all felt very good about that, as a matter of fact, when we were talking about this, I think. On Zoom, it's hard to know who feels good about anything, but we were all talking about it anyway. And so we were trying to figure out how to do assessment. How do we judge that this is happening? How do we know that it's happening? And we decided that the 4-way test is an assessment tool. And so it can be used that way, and that's what we want to do. And we think this is the best way because we can, by answering these questions, we really know whether we are achieving some of our goals. First, truth. Is it the truth? Truth. We can have the members learned new and truthful things about one another because the club has become more diverse? That's a question. Depending on how we answer that, if we don't learn anything new, then there's something not working. If we're learning new things because we're talking to and meeting with and enjoying and celebrating people who are different from us, if that's happening, then we're achieving these goals. Fairness. Does the club treat all its members fairly? And does that show in the appointment of committee chairs, board leadership, and training opportunities? If it doesn't show, then we're not doing it right. You know, if we end up, well, if we end up not being different, if we end up not being challenged, if we end up not learning anything, then of course, then obviously we have failed. Next slide. Goodwill and friendship. Do members have friends in the club who are not like them in color, gender, or experiences, and are able to act on that friendship? The committee, I think, at least my sense of the committee, felt that while we are intentional in doing these things, the more the more it's not an ordinary part of our lives, the more it's not the more, I mean, to get rid of the negative, the more it is a part of our ordinary lives, the better it is. And the easier it is. We should simply have friends. We should just be friends. You shouldn't have to do more than that. And your friends should be all kinds of people. It's an ordinary thing. The harder we work at it, in some sense, the poorer the job is that we are doing. And the easier it is, it's more likely that it's working, because these are just people we know and we love and we care for and we share values with and we do things with. Goodwill and friendship. Beneficial to all concerned. Can members identify specific benefits of having Rotary friends who are different from them in background, education, ethnicity, gender, or life experiences? So that's our assessment tool. We should be able to identify things, actually identify things that we have experienced in our lives as Rotarians that are truly beneficial, simply because they happened and because they involve people who are not like us. And I was thinking about this earlier today when I was walking over here, and I was trying to think, what would be a specific example of something personally and for me that was that would never would have happened otherwise by somebody who was unlike me. And I was thinking about the time that, yeah, I'm Roman Catholic, and I come from, as you probably know, I come from a long historical or personal history of Roman Catholicism, including some seminary time, and I've done it all. And this was the place where I met a priest who was a woman, who was an Episcopalian, and a guy who grew up in a town where you are either Methodist or Catholic. This is a pretty transformative event for me, small as that might seem, but that never would have happened had it not happened in Rotary. Next slide, please. So the call to action, how to help, how you can help, how we all can help. Well, I would ask, we have 11 members in this DEI committee. There are 11 of us, but we really don't care how big this committee gets. It really doesn't matter, because when we get together on Zoom, we mostly just chat. Well, we're guided by our president, who sort of keeps us on task and keeps us to an hour or so. But otherwise, we just sort of emote, and we do, and so it's interesting. And so if you want to join, you should just join, just join. We meet every couple of months on Zoom when it's convenient, and it's not very long, and it's useful because we talk about things. Think about your networks. Think about those networks, those circles, those tribes that you belong to, and identify ways to make our club more diverse through age, gender, race, and disabilities. Some of you may actually know people who are under 70. It's possible you do. I don't, but you might. Yeah, they're in your circle, bring them around. And think about potential speakers who will provide diverse perspectives. That's not a lot to ask. That just means pay attention and let us know how you can help. Is there another? I don't think there's any more slides. So there you go. That's my spiel. Thank you.
John, thank you so much. I thought it was a good idea to invite you to do this, and now I know it was the most brilliant idea I've had all year. Thank you. I wish we had time for discussion on these important message points. I really, really do. But it's my job to get us out of here more or less on time. So Lynn Schwartzberg, would you please bring me the hat that's on the table? It's time to draw from our quarterly speaker recognition program, and stay up here. I'll let you draw. It's the drawing from the hat. Oh no. Cardinal Stage. Okay. That's really exciting. Does it matter that I'm on the board? No, I don't think so. Okay, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Oh, that's exciting. Thank you, Lynn. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us, for being such good audience members today. We convene again on January the 4th, right back here in the Frangipani. Our speaker will be Tina Jernigan. She's going to be talking about art at the IMU. Honestly, I had nothing to do with this program. It's Judy Schroeder's program. Portraits of notable women here in the IMU. So with that, let's do the four-way test for the last time in 2021. Got it? No? We all know it by heart. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Fifth, is it fun?